In camp here with Integrated Awakening, and today I'm going to speak with you about Kundalini. I'm going to be defining Kundalini, and before I do, let's talk about a few things. One of them is the problem with definition. No set of descriptions of something is the phenomenon itself. For instance, if I describe water as wet or honey as sweet, that doesn't actually convey to you the experience of the wetness of water or the sweetness of honey unless you've had those experiences before. Right? And so definitions, descriptions always pale in comparison to the direct experience of the phenomenon itself. Secondly, it's a pretty audacious thing to try to define something such as Kundalini. And that's because, Kundalini is all of reality, okay? Kundalini is the goddess. And so we want to approach her with a sense of respect, a sense of reverence, and an appreciation of the mystery. Yeah? No definition, or again, set of descriptions is going to give you control over life, or over Kundalini in this case. And so we just want to come heart open. We just want to come heart open and a deep bow to the mystery. So, with that said, a few other pieces of housekeeping before I begin. I'm going to be defining Kundalini perspectively. I will be defining Kundalini from the third person, from the second person, and from the first person perspective. What does this mean? The third person perspective is an objective perspective. It's abstract, it's theoretical. Science is a good example of this. When I'm relating to a tree and I'm thinking about the cellular matrix or the bark and the leaves and photosynthesis and the larger ecology in which the tree is embedded, all of that is theoretical. It's abstract. It's objective. You're thinking about the tree. So that's the third person perspective. The second person perspective is when you're relating to something, someone, from a relational vantage point, right? So, for instance, I don't know you, or maybe I do, but I'm coming into relationship with you right now in a second person perspective. I'm hoping to relate to you relationally in a meaningful way. When I approach a tree, the second person perspective would be to treat that tree like it's another being, because it is another being, of course, and to be experiencing it that way. I have a tree on a college campus right across the street that I go and visit fairly often. And when I go and visit, I slow down, I tune into it energetically, I speak to it, I feel its love for me, and I love the tree as well. Right? That's a second person perspective. The first person perspective is your direct experience of whatever's occurring. So again, with the example of a tree, the first person perspective is all of the thoughts, feelings, sensations that make up the totality of your experience, of course awareness as well, of the tree. Right? It's your direct experience of the tree. Here's a bonus, by the way. Everything is folded into the first person, right? The first person, or the fact of consciousness, the fact that you are consciously aware, allows for second person relationships to unfold and third-person objective viewpoints to unfold. Those things don't exist without a first-person subjective awareness in the first place. Finally, I will be using she, her pronouns for Kundalini, she, her, hers. And I will be doing this to keep in alignment with the tradition from which the term comes, and that is Tantra, particularly Shakta sex, and of course through to the modern day, where there's kind of a modern tradition around Kundalini. So keeping in line with that, once again, I will be using she, her pronouns for Kundalini. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We'll be starting with the third-person perspective. There is a lot to say about Kundalini from the third-person perspective. I'm going to hone in right on the most important piece. Kundalini is the transformative, refining fire, force, energetic current that helps to transform your physical body and your subtle body in order to make your vessel progressively more fit for embodying higher frequency aspects of your own divinity and more comprehensive, more subtle openings of consciousness. Openings to the absolute, openings to unity consciousness, openings to the ground, etc. So Kundalini is the energy of consciousness. Yes, if you've spent any time in the non-dual world, you've heard a lot about consciousness. You've heard a lot about awareness, right? You've heard a lot about emptiness. And the other side of that is energy, is presence, is form, right? The Heart Sutra, to paraphrase, essentially that emptiness is form and form is emptiness. And these two are actually one and the same, or flip sides of the same coin. In Tantra, we talk about Shiva and Shakti, right? And Shiva is the boundless, formless, spacious hosting of all things, and Shakti is the power that exudes from that space, that comes into being and gives birth to all form, subtle to gross. And this is Kundalini at the macrocosmic level. Kundalini is the ecstatic, self-organizing, creative impulse of the divine. And this is very helpful to understand because this is the force that is either waking up in you or something that you want to know more about, that you're studying. But if it's waking up in you, if you are having a Kundalini awakening, know, right? At the microcosmic level, yeah, so in your body, in your experience, it is, again, the refining fire of transformation that forms and reforms your physical body and subtle body, so awakening can take place and abide. So there's Kundalini from the third person perspective. Now let's move to the second person perspective. The second person perspective is the relational perspective, you remember I said. And so in regards to Kundalini, if you're relating to her in the way that most folks do, and again, in alignment with the tradition from which it comes, Tantra, you'll be relating to her as the goddess. The goddess, you know, Adi Parashakti, Kupchaka, Kali. In tantric sex, Kundalini was often synonymous with their kind of overarching goddess. If you know anything about Tantra, you know there are many goddesses. But in any sect, it might be a Kali sect, it might be a Kupchaka sect, and so on. Kundalini will be synonymous with the great overarching goddess. And Kundalini is a perfect mother. I'll put it that way because that's how I relate to her personally. If you look at that picture right now, that's a picture of the Divine Mother, which is Kundalini, right? And the Divine Mother is always holding you. She's a perfect mother, filled with wisdom, love, and power. Why is this so important? Because Kundalini awakening often comes with a fantastic amount of intensity. Like, seriously. It floors people at the beginning, especially if people don't have any orientation towards it, if they aren't already oriented in a way where they want to give the totality of their life to the divine, even if they are. They're floored, and they're having a hell of a time of it. And it's so helpful to know that this is the goddess that loves you, that is holding you in every moment, that is supporting you. And she is relentless and thorough in her desire for your full freedom and expression as the unique, divine, incarnational movement that you are. That you are. Now, I'm going to take a page out of Brent Spirit's book. Shout out to Brent, if you're not familiar with him. He is also Kundalini and Awakening Guide. Go check him out. He has incredible content. I was watching a video where he was talking about relating to the goddess, and he said, hey, not everybody is oriented in a way that relating to Kundalini as a goddess or the goddess is helpful for them. Totally fine. Kundalini could care less. In that video, Brent talks about, and I love this, relating to Kundalini as a mother bear. Isn't that so sweet? I mean, there's such a tremendous sweetness. I call my own mother Mama Bear, so perhaps that's why. But thinking about her as a mother bear, and you're her cub, right? As opposed to the goddess, and you're her child. Kundalini is the mother bear, and you're her cub, and she's got you. She's always got you. She's always looking after you. And if Mother Bear doesn't do it for you, perhaps something else. Perhaps another metaphor or image that comes to you intuitively. If you're having a Kundalini awakening and the goddess doesn't do it for you and Mother Bear doesn't do it for you, go inward and find something that works for you. Find something that works for you, that honors your process and helps you to relate to Kundalini again as a wise, loving, and powerful force that's here for your good. For your good. For your good. All right, now, the first person perspective of Kundalini. Right? This is your direct experience of Kundalini, and the first person perspective is incredibly vast. If you've done any study of Kundalini at all, and certainly if you're having an awakening, you know this. Like, Kundalini awakening comes with powerful surges of energy throughout the body, particularly up the Sushumna Nadi, or the central channel. It comes with kriyas, spontaneous movements. It may come with different, divine qualities, or beings coming to you, appearing in your dreams. It may come with bizarre physiological symptoms like salivating like crazy. It may come with sleepless nights. It may come with temperature changes. Suddenly you're feeling incredibly hot or incredibly cold. It certainly comes with the unloading and the integration of trauma or samskaras, to use more yogic terminology, which can be quite fierce, quite harrowing. And many other things besides, right? That was a short description of the many things that can come with Kundalini. People have psychic openings, and they're experiencing subtle perception or different kinds of entities, etc. Like, it's vast, it's vast. And needless to say, the first person perspective of Kundalini is very personal. Your unique unfolding is going to look different from mine, or from Brent's, or from my teacher Craig Holliday's, or from anyone else's. So just know that. Don't look for someone else's experience to be your own. Your experience is yours. And you can trust that. And you can trust that. And then your first person experience is evolving. You know, what's often true is that people initially wake up, right? A Kundalini awakening in particular, and they are experiencing all of these different symptoms, all of these different phenomena, and they don't know what's happening. And they're actually relating to Kundalini as something that they're subjected to or victimized by. More about this in another video. But over time, we begin to relate to Kundalini as a benevolent force, but eventually, and take this one to the bank, y'all, this is for only the most advanced students. Of course, I say that tongue-in-cheek. Eventually, we come to know, in a first-person perspective, Kundalini as our own selves. Ah, right. Kundalini is not a force waking up inside of you. It is the power of your own divinity waking up inside of you. You are Kundalini. Kundalini is you. But when I say you, I'm not talking about any egoic aspect of consciousness or any part. I'm talking about you as the always and already here, spacious, aware, enlivened presence. Right? You as the self, capital S. You as the divine. Your soul. And beyond, of course. You are Kundalini. Kundalini is none other than your very own self. So, last but not least, so let me get I want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. Not even going to edit this out. Yep. So, last but not least, let's talk about spiritual sobriety briefly. I'll be doing a whole video on this, and I'll finish with a little image. It is so helpful to have a grounded spiritual sobriety when it comes to Kundalini awakening. And this is often developed over time, and really with the help of peer mentors, spiritual friends, and teachers, people who can hold a space for us, who know what it's like to go through this process, and who know that it's good, and who know that it's going to be okay. Now, when I say spiritual sobriety, what am I talking about? What I mean to say is it's good to be grounded. Why? We're going to bring this all together now. Because, what did I say? Kundalini can come with great intensity. Not for everyone, but for many people. And because of that, there's so many fireworks and there's so many harrowing experiences, and Kundalini can reduce you to ash and then the phoenix emerges. I mean, it's just so dynamic, and there are so many things potentially going on. But what did I say? Remember, What is Kundalini fundamentally? The refining power of your own consciousness that is transforming, informing your physical body and your subtle body so that it can be reconstituted, so that it can be transformed, and be able to receive and embody aspects of divinity and openings of consciousness, realms of consciousness that want to come in and anchor in your field. That is the purpose. That's the purpose. And so the purpose is awakening. The purpose is awakening. And people get lost. People get lost along the way. They're getting caught in this phenomenon and this trauma and this flashy mystical experience and this bliss and whatever may be going on. They're getting lost in it. They're getting lost in it. And it's so helpful to have just a simple ground. Boom. An openness to experience that's deeply rooted in the simplicity of whatever's arising in the present moment and allowing it to arise, making contact with it, but not telling stories about it, not needing to make another identity out of it, but simply letting it be whatever it is and allowing yourself to anchor into what the witness or yourself as consciousness. Yourself as consciousness. The consciousness that's hosting the entirety of your embodied experience right now. Right now. A lot more to say about that. And I will in other videos, another time. Finally, I want to finish with an image. I just love this. Many countries have celebrations of independence or Independence Days. And on those days, there is great merriment, right? Festivities, yummy food, fun games, engaging social activities. It's a time to celebrate. But this celebration is anchored in something profoundly meaningful. And what is that? It's freedom and the right to be yourself as an individual, as a group, as a nation in this case, without unnecessary constraint. Yes, yes, please. And so the merriment is wonderful, and the fireworks or whatever particular country's celebration of independence looks like. Be totally involved in that. And let us be deeply rooted in what this is about, what we are celebrating, and what our ancestors had to fight for in order for us to have our independence, in order for us to have our freedom. So Kundalini can come with fantastic, dazzling experiences. It can also come with harrowing, reduce you to dust kind of experiences. Kundalini awakening can be tremendously hard. But let us not forget what all of those phenomena are rooted in, are bringing us further into right here, right now. And what is that? Spiritual freedom and knowing yourself as pure, alive, aware presence. Again, right here, right now. Great. All right, y'all. If you're interested in my services as a psycho-spiritual counselor, please check out my website link in the description below. And other than that, you have a great whatever time of day you happen to be listening, and I'll see you next time.